All right, hello, welcome, and good evening, traders. It is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Market recap for the day today. A lot of stuff today, a lot of trades happening. We added some new trades to the portfolio, had some come off as winners. So I'm going to share those with you. I'll give you some insights of what I'm trading. I'll show you the accounts so you can see the ups and downs, the ins and outs of what I'm doing. So maybe get some ideas from that today. So it's day two from the whole tariff tantrum thing. It's turnaround Tuesday. The markets dropped yesterday, rebounded pretty strongly off the open as both Canada and Mexico agreed to uh, strengthen the border on the U.S. A couple other things that went in there. So the administration, whoever, I'm not we, they suspended the tariffs for 30 days or so, waiting to see what happens. So that's all good. Still some tariffs out there on China. Uh, I don't think that's super concerning right now. Yesterday, too, I did misspeak slightly, I think, on the video. There's so much stuff going on that I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. But yesterday, when I was covering it, I think I said that we don't import a lot uh, from Canada and Mexico. What I meant to say is we don't export a lot to Canada and Mexico. So our U.S. exports to Canada as a percentage of GDP are only 1.5%, and our exports to Mexico as a percentage of GDP are only 1.2%. On the other hand, Mexico exports to the U.S. 35% of their GDP is exports to the U.S., and Canada exports to the U.S. 22% of their GDP, and 77% of all Canada exports go to the U.S. 84 of Mexico's go to the U.S. Why is that important? Why was I trying to make that point yesterday? And I think I said, we don't take in a lot. Well, we take in about what 15% from each of those countries. From 15% from Mexico, and about 13% of our imports come from Canada. Another 14% from China is where we get it from. However, point I was trying to make yesterday, and everybody's all worried about correcting me, and you're right. I mean, I probably did misspeak yesterday. However, you guys missed a point. There's trades to be made. Okay, so let's focus on the trades. But yep, correcting everything that I said if it was incorrect. But overall, they got a lot more to lose in Mexico and Canada than we do because our exports to them very, very, very small compared to our GDP, which is very, very, very large, obviously. So from a number standpoint, it's different, but our percentage standpoint, they can't afford that sort of a trade war and those tariffs. So anyway, that being said, today was a nice turnaround today as things move up. Continuously, let's look at the charts and then we'll get into the accounts and a couple trades to wrap it up today. So stay tuned. Some good things to cover with you today. And then we also had earnings. So we'll talk about the earnings as we look at some of these charts as well. S&P E-minis today finished the day up 24. Now that's off of the highs at the close. At the close, we closed up about 43 points on the S&P today, but the E-minis are already moving down a bit in the after hours market, possibly due to Alphabet or Google, however you want to say it, which is selling off a bit. We'll talk more about that. But overall, a good reversal day today. Hasn't really changed my opinions on anything. Can we bounce and continue to go a little bit higher in the near term? Yep, you got earnings a little mixed today. Some good stuff from AMD, some good stuff from some others, kind of a mixed bag, and not great strong guidance from Alphabet here. So not great stuff today. Certainly not as good as the Palantir blowout yesterday that I think really certainly helped the markets today. But we were certainly up on the session. Momentum is still down overall. That still makes me cautious. I still want to have trades on that are more cautious in nature, but we still want to give ourselves ability to make money on the bullish side. So I did add some trades today in here, but nothing on the ES side. We'll talk about those. On oil, though, oil continues to sell off, continues to be weak. Now, yesterday we did get a spike on the tariff news initially, as we do bring in a lot of oil exports from Canada. and you're thinking, oh, that's going to raise prices, oil is going to go up. However, as Canada kind of settled that, and so did Mexico yesterday on the tariffs, then prices eased off a bit, and then today they dropped even further. Now, we did drop all the way down to the bottom of the Bollinger Band before we bounced on the session today. I think oil is still a bit oversold on the daily, but the weekly still has more room, I think, to the downside. So, what do you have when you got a weak weekly chart a bit? Even this daily chart's pretty weak, but we're overbought here. So it doesn't look certainly bullish. But things are weak, but they can go either direction, up, down, sideways. I just I don't see a catalyst to drive oil way up unless again we go back at those tariffs. And even so, that didn't really spike oil gigantically. It's like $2. So overall, I think oil kind of hangs in this range here. So we did close out an oil trade for a winner today, and I did add Strangles. So I was looking at Strangles everywhere today. We had Strangles even in ES, strangles are possible. I'm just not going to add them in the S&P E-minis here because I already have a lot of trades on in ES, and I don't want to add additional risk with more naked puts or naked calls here, but primarily the naked puts. I want to keep my risk in check a bit. Oil, I think it sets up for a great strangle, a 111 opportunity, and at the money 111, which we did close one today. And I did put a new strangle on oil today. And then bonds on the next one here. So bonds just kind of sideways trending a bit right now. On the move up on the weekly here, back to the trend line that it had. I think bonds just hang out. There isn't really a catalyst, I don't think, to shoot bonds way, way, way higher and see rates drop. I don't know that bonds drop and rates rise substantially. We're not seeing a whole lot of any really crazy data on the economic report. So I put a strangle on in bonds today as well. So we did add a bond strangle, giving ourselves some room. If you really look back here, bonds have not moved between one more than 120 to 110, 120 to 110, dating all the way back to October now. So you got October, November, December, January. Now we're into February. So we're into the fifth month of really bonds being in a 10-point range here. Hopefully that continues. That's why we put the strangles on. And if you look at oil on that strangle as well, and you got to go all the way back here to July of last year, where oil was around 79. The low a couple times has been around 66. So 78 to 66, 79, something in that range. It's really a 12-point range on oil, and right now we're sitting at 72, which is smack dab right in the middle of that range. And we've been in this range now for 7 months. Okay. So I like strangles here. Doesn't mean we don't break out of this range anytime soon, but I like what we're seeing. Gold is rocking and rolling higher. Gold continues to move higher, blasting higher. I don't have a trade on this moving too quickly. For me, I did look at copper today. I've been looking at this for strangle opportunities. It's moving higher. I think there's momentum on copper to move higher. Let's see what happens when it gets to the trend line here that it's getting close to. However, I think it's got great momentum to move to the upside. So you could see copper moving to the upside here. All right, on the Aussie dollar, I'm staying away from anything to do with Forex right now because we really just don't know what's going to happen out there with the current administration and the dollar. So I'm really staying away from some of these trades. I think it's setting up now for a bit of a better strangle opportunity on the Aussie dollar. We'll see what happens. If we're looking at the Russell, it's been in this volatility box for the most part now, dating all the way back to middle of December. Could be a strangle. I don't love it here for a strangle. I don't know that I want to get super long. It's just a nothing trade for me. I just don't like it. Don't see a ton of catalysts for it. So catalysts for small caps would be rates dropping, and I just don't see it right now. So until that happens, I think we just hang out. All right, let's get into a few quick stocks and just touch base on some of these. And you can see we're in the after hours session. So Amazon, great day to the upside today. We're getting close to earnings on Thursday here. Great day to the upside, but right now selling off on some of that Google news, I'm guessing, here in the after hours. Nothing to do here. We have Amazon, and we're not going to do anything with it. Um, in our accounts right now, nothing to do. I'm not going to add any trades on Amazon. All right, Meta has had a great role here since earnings came out. Even before that, it ran up into earnings and then ran strongly after earnings, pulling back again in the after hours. But it's had such a good run. And you know what? So has Amazon. Okay, just because they're selling off a little bit, uh, they've been such good runs. All right, now let's talk Google. This thing getting absolutely hammered in the after hours market. So not good on revenue. So we had a revenue miss on Google. And also cloud sales were not good and spending increased on Google. Not a great not a great quarter for Google, and it's going to get hammered. It's down to about 187 now. So this thing's tanking $20, almost 8-9% right now, almost 10% down in after hours. So it's going to get hammered. I like it as a company. I think it's a better opportunity down here, but now you gotta have to let this thing play out. Not really good on Google, even though ad sales rose and revenue rose, but just AI-driven numbers just didn't do well. And if you aren't generating really good cash right now or have a good outlook on AI, you're going to get smoked. So this right now is going to hurt the markets tomorrow for the most part. All right, NVIDIA. So we're seeing NVIDIA bouncing off those lows. I added a lot of long NVIDIA positions today. Yes, I'm a premium seller. I could not help it today. I just saw too many opportunities down here for at least a few shorter term trades in here. So we did buy some short-term trades for the next couple of weeks out with some long calls. It's up in the after hours. I mean, yesterday I sold a lot of leap puts yesterday on Nvidia. So I sold it on the big. I sold leap puts, naked puts on the dip, and today on the follow through, I added some more to this position, and it's up in the after hours. So I do like Nvidia here. I don't think it's dead by any stretch. All right, Tesla. Okay, Tesla just continues to be weak, and now you're really starting to run into a bit of a problem. So technically, now on Tesla, we're running into this uh, descending triangle that we have here, and we're right at support, right at the lower Bollinger Band. Now, that could be a great opportunity to get in if we see a bounce. We did get somewhat of a bounce today. It's down slightly after hours. It's too early to really say anything here on Tesla, but I think it really needs to hold this 389-ish level somewhere in here. So this 382, I'm sorry, 382-ish level is where we are on this thing, I think. So this 382. If we can't hold this 380 area here, I think Tesla could have some more problems and downside to go. If we get a bounce off of this support here, then I think you could see Tesla starting to move its way up. If I was a betting person, which technically as a trader, I guess you are to an extent, you may want to look at something for this bounce. I do have a couple long calls, but primarily I'm selling a at the money covered call strategy, an income strategy on Tesla here, and that strategy right now is up 400 and some bucks. It's up pretty nicely, almost at 400 bucks on that. So about 5% in a couple days now. So I love the strategy and income poor man's covered call on Tesla here, really doing well. Microsoft is kind of struggling down here, doing not a whole lot of anything. Apple getting a little bit of a bounce today, not doing a whole lot of anything. Palantir, big pop to the upside today, selling off a bit after hours, but man, it's just such a big move. The problem now is, A, you were in this trading range for a while and you did break out. Okay, so we broke to the upside. It really wasn't a perfect head and shoulders, but you did have, if we look at it, let's just draw. this line here. So this neckline, this really wasn't much of a shoulder over here, but this neckline was broken, moved to the upside. The key now for Tesla is, or for Palantir, is you've got a really big gap. So do we fill this gap? Now we've left gaps before on Palantir, but not, one way down here that's been long forgotten around this 45 mark, but big gap to fill there. Overbought, overvalued, keeps cranking. Congrats to you that are in it. It's just I can't bring myself to trade it. All right, so there's where we are on a handful of these names. Oh, also Chipotle came out with earnings after the bell. They actually weren't bad earnings. Uh, they beat the estimate on earnings, and they pretty much matched the estimate right here uh, on revenue, even though it says down, but showing the same amount. So I don't know if these numbers are right or not. But overall, Chipotle not faring well. Uh, just had, I think it had conservative guidance after the bell. So it met estimates here, which is fine. Okay. But some conservative guidance, gonna knock it down a bit. It just keeps moving sideways, and that's why I really like Chipotle as a stock for uh, covered calls. I mean, this has really been a great covered call story now for a while, and that's what we've been trading. All right, so there you go. Let's take a quick look at the accounts, and I already shared some trades. We'll share what we closed out if you get some ideas from that. So today, Delta moved up pretty substantially. I did add some calls in here. Theta dropped substantially by adding calls. And of course, those calls have negative theta when you buy something. Even though I did add Strangles today, our net lick popped up 395. So again, another new high. So we just keep hitting new highs in here so far. And our BP usage just picked up slightly, but we're still at about 52% when you take the bill out of there. And that's really pretty good. So we added some trades. We made 360 bucks more today. We've now made 9,900 when you take these hedges out a little bit more, but it counts. So 9,900 so far, and our net lick has increased almost $27,000 in the first month and 2 days of this year. So we're up 7.2% on the year so far. What did we do today, close wise? We closed an ES 111 trade, 56% winner in 36 days. So a good trade. Could have left it on. We're starting to move out of the trap, which is fine. We still could have booked close to 100% on this trade anyway, but I wanted to free some things up, free up some buying power. I'll take the win. I also had a nice 200% winner on an oil at the money 111. So two at the money trades today. And that's what you see here for, well, actually it's 1360 today. So I have a little error somewhere. I'll tell you what, I'll tell you why in a minute. ES 112 and a CL 112. It's probably one not getting picked up. Well, got picked up there, but not here. It's because I put in 224. I still put it in. All right, that solves it. So I had the wrong date, closing dates, put 224 in. All right, so that does change it a little bit here. We made 1360 today, so we're up now 10,900 in just a month on realized gains and $27,000 almost on net lick. All right, sorry, yeah, little tweak there. All right, and then on the lazy trader, which is the more of the income and sorry, the investing account, we cranked up a little bit more today. So not new all-time highs, but close to a new all-time high. So new recent highs on this thing, 373,658, popped up today. BP usage dropped a bit as we took some trades off. Did have a $360 loss unrealized. Why? Because I did roll some trades. So let's take a quick look. at what we did here today. So we had a bunch of things happen. So the first thing is we closed our SoFi covered calls, 450 bucks on those. We closed our QQQ 112 trade for 520 bucks, which was a 106% winner. So we were able to achieve not only the naked put value, but we also made some with the put debit spreads, which is why I like the 112 trades. So 106% winner on that one. We also closed one of our SPY uh, put credit spreads today. So we had a put spread on SPY. We closed that at 40%. And then we did take a loss on a roll. So I always book the losses on the roll. I know a lot of people book or tell you, hey, I rolled it for a credit. Well, no, you lost money and then you put on a new trade that still hasn't been determined. Well, I book the losses when I roll because you really can't book and claim any kind of victory. As I said yesterday, you can't claim victory when you sell any sort of options. Okay. Yes, that's temporary income, but it's actually not real income. It's not realized until you close it. Okay. So again, I hate when people say, I just made $10,000 in 5 minutes. No, you didn't. Okay. You sold $10,000 in premium in 5 minutes. We have no idea what your underlying asset's doing. It could be down 30,000 for all I know. Okay. But until you close that, you haven't made anything yet. I actually booked the realized at the time of the roll. So I'm not going to tell you, hey, I rolled it for a great credit and I'm making money. No, if you roll at all, okay, you're typically losing money on the original trade. So when you roll, you're usually losing money on the original trade and you're taking in money on a new trade that still has to outperform even more because you got to offset the loss of the first trade. So anyway, not a big fan of rolling. I usually hate it, but I do like the TLT positions that were in here, and I really couldn't pass up the deal. I actually rolled it for a little debit. Okay, so not a credit. So I spent 150 bucks to roll it out and down. So I like where we are on that. I'm okay. Doesn't really matter. We had a good day today. It made sense to take a roll and do that. I'm not as worried about the daily realized gains because this is a longer term investment account. Okay, I'm really looking at how are we doing on net lick, and the net lick for this account is now up. In fact, I could probably even put it in here. So we could take where we are minus where we started. Okay, and we're up 19,748 in this account for the year, which I think it should be 5.58. Yep. So 5.58, which is exactly what you see here. So we are averaging almost 6% in just over a month in our investing. This is long term. You don't see a lot of big trades either way, not like you do in the active trading account here. All right, so hopefully this gives you some ideas, some takeaways from this. The poor man's covered call trades working great. We did add some trades today. We added strangles. I think you could strangle a lot of stuff out there right now. They're all strangle worthy as far as I can tell. On some things, we'll see if they pan out. But I want to keep my strangles on because a portion of my income is generated from strangles. It's my kind of my number three strategy right now. It used to be 112s and strangles. It's really the SPY leaps trade, 112s and strangles. So those three trades really make up the majority of what I'm trying to do. And if I um, look at the strategy builder or my guide that tells me what to do. 40% of my account is in SPY leaps, 40% I use for 112s, 10% for strangles, and another 10% for spec trades of any kind that I like putting on. And that was a good day today. So overall, great day today. Clarified some stuff on the tariffs, which is kind of a yesterday news thing. Now we're back to earnings. We'll see what happens going forward. There's always something new that this administration is going to throw at you. So you got to stay nimble. You got to stay on your feet. And if you liked what you heard today, give a thumbs up down below. Give a like. If you're not a subscriber, join up. Hopefully you get some ideas, some takeaways from me. I'm just trying to share what I'm doing, give you a sense of that. When I'm right, I'm right. When I'm wrong, I admit it. I show what I'm doing. fixed some things I said yesterday as well. But I'm showing you wins, I'm showing you losses. Okay. It's all just part of the journey, but overall, we got to keep moving higher, and that's what we're doing. New highs in one of the accounts and close to it in the other account here. So great stuff. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Have a safe evening. Bye bye.